I'm here with Tom Robinson. Wow, what a set.
Thank you very much. Wow, what an audience is, I think. I'm very blessed to have a good band. A bunch of musicians I could turn to, but with an audience like that, it's really hard to go wrong, you know.
So how does it feel to have a guitar in your hand again after 20 years?
It's not just any guitar, it's my old 1962 Fender Precision bass, and I haven't played bass for 40 years or something, so, well, not quite that long, but it's quite different playing bass and going out and strumming an acoustic guitar and playing. You know, you're much more dug in at the kind of rock and roll foundations of the whole thing. So it's very nice, and crank it up and thrash it, and it's lovely to be playing with Steve Lawrie again, you know, who's the drummer I worked with through the 80s, so you know, we've got a good relationship.
So why now? Why have you suddenly found this creative spurt again now that you've got a new album and you're back on the road?
I turned 65 this year. And
don't look it.
Oh, bless you, thank you. And my youngest child turned 18, and so suddenly, you know, it was like the end of one chapter, and also freedom to just, you know, to get out there and do whatever I want to do now, rather than thinking of putting other people first. So a combination of that with meeting producer Jerry Diver last year at the English Folk Expo is what did it. I had all these songs on a back burner, but I didn't really know how to make the kind of sounds that I enjoy listening to these days. My tastes have changed enormously in the last 20 years musically, and I'm not that keen on kind of rehashing the sounds of the last century. And Jerry Diver's got this like fantastically fresh ear and approach. And the way he plays violin, it's, you know, as you saw, more like a chainsaw than a regular Irish fiddle. And his production is astonishing. So it's given a freshness to all the material and an excitement about the whole thing.
Well, the new songs that you played tonight got a really good reception. You must have been pleased with that.
Absolutely, and that's the acid test, really, is whether you can still write songs that people like and respond to all these years later. You know, that's always the acid test for any artist, and so it's a bit of a risk doing kind of 60% old, 40% new at a festival set, because somebody was reviewing Shaking Stevens at Glastonbury on the main stage in the middle of the afternoon, and said, you know, the words that nobody in that crowd wanted to hear was, "I'd like to play a few songs from my new album." Do you know what I mean?
I do know.
Luckily, I had few enough hits that I can play all of the well-known songs and still have room to get in a few of the new ones as well.
Yeah, well, as you said on stage, the world's not been waiting for a new Tom Robinson album, but I think they like what they heard.
I think so. The response was so encouraging, and what a lovely event it was. You know, Peter Chegwin's just done good stuff for so long. I go back with him to like the early 90s, and he's always been a promoter that put music first, and business and money grubbing second.
Tell us about the new album, how it's going. It's crowdfunded and going well.
Yep, we've managed to get the whole thing recorded. The consumers did all kinds of stuff. They paid to come down to the studio and listen to the rough mixes and sing on one of the songs. And we spent an afternoon with them, gave them a glass of wine, and, you know, it was really nice to have that kind of contact with your audience, which you wouldn't have in a normal record company funded situation. Another one, we did a songwriting workshop for a day in Cecil Sharp House. Just got a dozen songwriters together and did some immersion songwriting together. We did a private gig in somebody's house last week. So it's all just things that, if people just want to buy the album, that's great, you know, and they can buy the same price as iTunes, but buy it in advance, which helps us get the thing finished and out there. But if they want to have their name on the album sleeve, it costs a bit more. It gives them a chance to kind of help out. So, yeah, we've been blessed.
What a wonderful reaction to sing If You're Glad to Be Gay.
Yeah, it was. I was actually genuinely very moved at the end of that because the audience just didn't stop applauding. It was like a kind of vote of confidence or something, and it wasn't a song that was terrifically popular as a subject to write about back in the '76 when I wrote it. And it actually it looked like career suicide because the BBC stopped playing my records after that came out for 6 years, and it wasn't a track to instant popularity, but it was a stand worth taking, I think, and I still stand by every word. So it was nice all these years later to have that vindication that an audience of people, many of whom didn't know me or hadn't heard me before, who just went, yeah, we like that. That's a brave stance. Not because they were necessarily, gay themselves, but just they liked the fact that somebody was standing up for themselves. I liked David Bowie when I was in my early 20s, and I'd been kind of very hung up about being gay. And he gave me the courage to come out, and I just said if I had a chance to do that for anyone else, I'll try and pass it on. So it's nice to know that worked.
I think, as you say tonight, a vindication. It was the sentiment as much as the song.
I think so. I think, people... Because I've admired people who stand up for themselves in their music, and I think it's great when people do that. I've tried to do it myself, and it's only when you see the whites of an audience's eyes that you find out whether or not they agree, and they did tonight, so it was very moving.